One of the best ways that I have found to practice when it comes to learning basic strategy as a card counter, or even learning deviations, is to use flashcards, all right? Now, when I use flashcards, just a couple of practical advice before I get you which hands that I write on these flashcards, because it'd be a lot to do all of them, and we don't do that. But a couple practical things is, one, use a nice thick paper like cardstock, right? And then two, notice this is the exact same size as a playing card, okay? Over here, this is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, the dimensions of a standard playing card, because if all my playing cards are over here in the discard tray, then I have lots of these cases that they can easily fit into, right? Then it's a lot easier just to kind of take a case around with these different flashcards in there. And that's one tip that I have found to work really well. I just keep it in my bag or my pocket and pull them out while I'm waiting on someone or something like that. And that way that you can practice kind of on the go, all right? Another good practical tip is, after using the cardstock to cut it out to the right size, is on one side, I use Sharpie on the side that I see first, okay? By doing this, if it bleeds through, that's okay on this side, but on the other side, use a pen. And what this will do is, the side where you use pen, this will not bleed through to the side where you see it, and you won't be able to cheat, and you will actually get that good practice in. So you get kind of a nice bold thing to see exactly what you need to do. Like this one, for instance, would be a 15 versus a dealer's 6, J5 versus a 6, that's what that means. And then on the other side, of course, here it says that I have it written out again, right? The 15 versus the 6 on top there. And of course, that is going to be a stand, all right? Now, a couple other things with this is, when I have it flipped over, on most of these, what I have done, you can see it here, here, and here, is that I have these color coded as well. I like to use some highlighter. Again, on the other side, highlighter will not go through. It won't bleed through like the Sharpie might tend to do. And so for the ones where I stand, I just have a kind of a color system that I use. I say that stand is going to be a yellow. All right, so I use a yellow highlighter to go around with that. A hit for me, I'm not sure why, but for whatever reason, I like to use pink for hit. Again, you can use different colors that mean that to you. Maybe you like green for hit because it means kind of go. All right, whatever works best. Red or orange is what I like to use for doubling down. And so I just put kind of a box around each of these here. So an orange box around the double. And then for splits, this one, I only had one other type of highlighter left, so I was stuck with purple, right? It doesn't really mean anything to me, but what does help is I don't connect the highlighter on these ones because it is split, all right? Where the other ones I do connect all the way around that box. Okay, that might be one tip for you, right? The colors might be able to, you can associate those different values or different playing decisions with the different type of card that you're supposed to do. So that's one way that I like to do it. Now, one other thing is, on the other side, which hands do I actually use? And you'll notice here that all of these hands are going to be hands that are either maybe a tough decision or one that's right next to a different playing decision. For example, let's look at this. This one here, it says it's going to be if you have a pair of 6s versus a dealer's 7. All right, well, I know that 6s should be split 2 through 6. And so for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with the dealer's up card, I would be splitting my 6s. Now, right next to that decision is a 7, all right? A pair of 6s versus a 7. So this is kind of on the border of a pair of 7s, or sorry, a pair of 6s versus a dealer 7, a pair of 6s versus a dealer 6, where one of those hands is one decision, the other hand is going to be a different playing decision. And so I need to know the difference between those. And if I can figure out the ones on the edge, then I know on either side of those, I should be able to also get the same decision. All right, so without looking here, let's see if we could try it. A pair of 6s versus a dealer 7. Well, 6s, we've split 2 through 6, so this would be just a normal hit. And it is, okay? So we were able to get that one correct. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shuffle all these up, and let's go through maybe like 10 to 15 of them and see if you can get all those correct. And then also, if you want a list of all the decisions that I put on These are all the different hand combinations I have. I will link that down in the comments below, or maybe I'll put it on the screen here. Whichever I don't do, will be in the opposite. And but anyway, let me get these all shuffled and let's try to do 10 or 15. Okay, I got 15 cards here pulled out from my stack of basic strategy flashcards, and I'm going to turn them towards you this time, and we're going to see if you can correctly get the correct choices and play through this perfectly. All right, so when you see a hand in blackjack, you'll be able to perfectly guess this. Now, one other thing that I didn't maybe mention before is, for example, on this first one, it says this is going to be a 13 versus a dealer's 6. Right? Notice here that you can get 13 several different ways, right? You can do like a 7 and a 6, a 10 and a 3 like I have, or 8 and 5 or whatever. But maybe if you find that a certain combination in your head is harder for you, you need to make more of those types of cards. So if you can't recognize that, like say 8 plus 5, if I had an 8 and a 5 here, was also 13, you do an 8, 5, a 5 and an 8, flip it around, right? Maybe make more of those types of cards that give you those hard totals, because part of, this learning with the flashcards is being able to just add up the cards themselves, right? Don't just put a 13, a 1, 3 down here. That won't simulate what you see, as opposed to like, an 8 and a 5 and for those as you see the cards on the felt. Okay. Anyway, that's a lot to say that you can make different combinations. So let's try this one. This is a 13 versus a dealer 6, and of course, what should you do here? 13 versus a 6 is going to be a stand. All right. Nice. What about a pair of 9s versus a 7? All right. Remember, 9s you split 2 through 9, except for 7. So at 7 you stand. There you go. 2 stands in a row. All right, what about a pair of 5s versus a 2? Should we split this? No, you never split 5, so you treat it as a hard 10. So instead, think of this as a 10 versus a dealer's 2, and a 10 versus a 2 is a double down. Nice, good job. All right, what about a pair of 7s versus a 7? All right, pair of 7s, you split 2 through 7. So this is also going to be a split. There you go, nice job, there you have it. 3s versus pair of 3s versus a dealer 6. 3s you split 2s, 3s, and 7s you split 2 through 7. So again, this is a split. Got 2 of them there. What about a soft 16 versus a dealer's 4? I like to, in my head, I always say ace 5. I don't know, that's how I have learned it. So if you think soft 16 or if you think ace 5, 5 ace, either way. Anyway, is this going to be a hit or a double down? All right, those are probably going to be your 2 choices there. And this one, an ace 5 versus a 4, this is going to be a double down. Good. Pair of 10s versus a 6. Should you ever split 10s? No, you should not, unless the count gets high enough. But even I know some APs don't like to split 10s anyway, because that's a telltale sign that you are a card counter. So this is going to be a stand. All right, what about 3 ace versus a 5? 3 ace versus a 5. I'll tell you right now that for a lot of those lower soft totals, like ace 2, ace 3, ace 4, ace 5, ace 6, all versus a 5, even ace 7, those are all going to be double downs. There you have it, double down. 10, right? So this is kind of what I was saying earlier. This is, 3 and a 7. You could get this with a 4, 6, a 2, 8, lots of different ways to get a 10 here. But a 3, 7 versus a 10 versus a 10, I should say, is a 10 versus a 10. Is that a double down? No, 10s you double 2 through 9, and you would just hit normally against a 10. All right, what about, here's that one, I think from the beginning, a Jack 5, which is a 15 versus a 6. 15 versus a 6 is a stand. Pair of 6s versus a 7. 6s you split 2 through 7. So this is going to be 6s you split 2 through 6. I'm reading this upside down. 7s you split 2 through 7. So 6s, since they're 2 through 6, you should actually just hit on this. Okay? You should hit on this. So that might be one that I need to work on. Yeah, that's a hit. Pair of 9s versus a 9. Again, 9s you split 2 through 9, except for 7. So since this is a 9, you would split it. Pair of 7s versus an ace, or an 8. It is a lot harder to read upside down, you think. Pair of 7s versus an 8 is going to be 7s you split 2 through 7. So this is just a hit. Pair of 3s versus a 7. 3s, again, you split 2 through 7, so this is a split. And the last one that we're going to do today, again, I have a whole other stack, but last one we're going to do today is going to be a pair of 9s versus a queen. 9s, you split 2 through 9, except for 7, so this is going to be a stand. The reason why this is a stand and not a hit is it's already an 18. It's hard to do much better than that, so it's a stand. Okay, so let me know down below a couple things. 1, do you make flashcards? And 2, did you get all those correct? All right, and if not, if there are some of these that you find that are troublesome for you, you can make multiple versions of them. Again, if I go back to this original one, 10, 3 versus a 6, this I can make again as 8, 5, 7, 6 versus a 6, and you could have multiples of those in. If you're really good at like the pairs, right, you know all what your pairs are, you don't have to, you can take those out, right? As soon as you know those, you can take those out and put the ones that you need to focus on into your deck, make more of those types of cards. But anyway, again, guys, if you found this helpful, please give me a thumbs up down below. That helps this channel out. But until next time, this is A1 Blackjack.